Today we're having a look at Tiny Combat Arena. This is another one that's backed by publisher Microprose, and the developer is a single person team. I think it's just one person, but it's pretty good actually already. It's not very expensive. I think it's kind of on par in terms of what they're charging for it and what you're getting here. The game itself, the core gameplay is already very good. There's not a whole lot of content, but what is there is really good, and I'm really excited about where this one could potentially go. So right now there are two modes. There's this quick battle mode, which I've set up here just in the quick mission builder, and I'll show you how this works in a second. And then there's also the arena demo. This, I think, is meant to show what the game is going to be like, because I'll show you why I don't think you'll be playing the arena demo more than once or twice in the current state. But I think this is going to be fleshed out, and this is where the real meat of the game is going to be. Let's get into the quick battle. So what I've done here, currently there's just one map that you can play on. Not that it matters too much, but you can do dogfights here, you can do free flights, and you can do strike missions where it involves striking at ground targets as well. But I've just set up a dogfight here with 4 average pilots that's going to be supporting us, and then we're up against 8 enemy planes, which should be pretty manageable, I think. I'm not the best person when it comes to flight sims, but I've played a bit, enough that I sort of know more or less what I'm doing at least. And we'll just get straight into it. But the thing about this one is, this is in some ways kind of like the Forza of combat flight sims, in that, in one very specific way, because what they do in Forza, and let's just get a lock on here, but what they do in Forza is basically they get realistic driving physics and they just dial it back a couple of notches to make it a bit more fun and accessible, and that's exactly what they've done here. It does have realistic flight physics, weight is simulated as well, so you can feel that the plane starts to handle differently as it becomes lighter, as you're getting rid of your ammunition and the missiles and stuff that you have on board. But I think they struck the perfect balance here. We've just been able to take that one down with guns, and it's a really nice game to just pick up and jump into. The one thing that I do find interesting about pretty much everything that Microprose is backing right now is these games either have not very good tutorials, or in some cases just no tutorial at all. And in the case of this game, there's no tutorial. I do get why they've done it, because I assume that most people that will buy this would have played a flight sim before. And if you have, I'm playing this on an Xbox controller right now. It is very easy to just pick up and play. I just started pressing buttons and pretty quickly figured out what everything did. And I think that is falling, not flying. Yeah, let's have a look. Yeah, he's definitely going to hit the water. Or at least it looks like it, but I want to level myself out here as well. Yeah, he's just hit the water. So yeah, pretty easy to just pick up and play. If you've never played a flight sim before, then I don't know. I mean, there will probably be a little bit of a learning curve, and I'm sure that this is something that'll come. It's in early access. I'm sure they will give some sort of tutorial or just introduction for new players. The reason why I'm using my guns, by the way, is because they are very effective, especially at close range, and I do have limited missiles, plus they will be dropping flares to get rid of these, but we're going to try anyway. Okay, both of those missed, but we can still take him down with guns. I can probably up the skill level of the AI a little bit more here. They do fly intelligently though, I think, and they're only on average now. I think there's still like 2 or 3 levels above that you can use. But like I said, the core of the game that they have here is fantastic. I love the graphics, by the way. I know it's meant to look a bit retro. It doesn't play like a retro game at all. It feels fully modern. But yeah, this feels great. In terms of the content, you also only get this one jet that you can currently fly. I don't know what the roadmap is, if they intend to add more, but I'm not too bothered about the jets. If they want to add 1 or 2 more, I think that's great. What would be more interesting is to have sort of a meta game around this, to have a reason for doing all of these missions. And, you know, something like a dynamic campaign mode. Again, you know, when it comes to stuff like this, I don't really care about story modes. I think the game would have more replay value if it's just like a dynamic campaign where you have to sort of capture islands, kind of like I've been playing Carrier Command 2, and if they took a similar approach to that, where you have this sort of overarching meta game, but then in between you're going after specific islands and stuff. This game would be perfect for that sort of thing. Let's just switch to the other missiles here. I think these are better at tracking, so I'm not sure if his countermeasures will be as effective. Yeah, that one's done for. I think he should be going down as well. Looks like it. So you can use the right stick here to look around, and it works pretty well. This also supports the, I forget the name of the tracking device that you can put on your screen. So if you want to use that, I mean, I don't play flight sims that often, so I'm perfectly fine of just playing this with a normal setup and an Xbox controller, and it, like I said, it works pretty well. Let's get the last one here. Wow, we actually have a lot of missiles left over now. We can just go crazy here because I think that's the last one. So he's going to have to drop all of his countermeasures. He's already been hit a couple of times, it seems. This is another thing that I really love about this game. So many games of this type, especially the arcadey flight sims, they just have like a health bar or something. Here you actually have modular damage. So in one of the runs that I did, a part of my wing got shot off, and it sort of dynamically reacts to that, and I love that. I would much rather play a game that, you know, looks like this graphically, but has that level of detail to it, as opposed to something that just has a health bar, which isn't that interesting. I'm not a big fan of health bars if you can create modular damage and just make things a bit more interesting in that way. He's still evading me. This last one is tough to take down. Okay, let's. I think that must have been the last of his countermeasures, so this is going to be it. Yeah, we just scored a hit there, and that's it. You can sort of see the plane breaking apart here, and as I said, sort of have dynamic damage. So this is the quick play mode, and this is probably where you're going to spend most of your time right now, and it is super fun if you just, after an evening or when you get home from work or whatever, you just want to quickly jump in and have 1 or 2 flights. This game is perfect for that. Let's get into the other playstyle here. So we can have a look here. We can see the player kills. So we took out 6 fighters, and our allies took out 2. And then the enemy seems to have taken down 1 of ours as well. So we'll close this and we'll get into the arena demo. And I think this is where the metagame is going to come from. So the way this works is we have our friendly forces here, ground forces and air forces. You can see them taking off over there. And they need to take these bases. And we're effectively just providing air support. So we'll start here. Now the interesting thing is, because I haven't flown these Harrier Vtol jets a lot, it seems to be better to just point your nozzle down a bit. You can see the nozzle adjustments happening here. So just point it down a bit for takeoff, because if you just point it forward and you go at full speed, you basically don't have enough lift by the time you get to the end of this runway. So I don't know if you're an expert on combat aircraft, you can let me know if that is normal, if that's how it's usually done. But we'll just pull up the gear here. So now there will be some enemy aircraft, there are some ground forces, and we'll probably start with the enemy aircraft. Right now this mode is a little bit easy. I think even if you do very little, you'll probably end up capturing the enemy bases as well, and I feel like there can be a bit more air resistance at least. And I don't think you can change the level of the AI right now. But anyway, as I said, if there's a bit more of a dynamic campaign / meta game around this, I think this would be a lot more interesting. We're just going to take a shot here. I think the angle that I'm coming in at is going to mean that I'll miss, but we're going to try anyway. Oh, we actually did hit. Okay, we'll follow this one. You can really feel the difference in weight as you've gotten rid of missiles and bombs and stuff. It's quite noticeable. In that, you'll start pulling more Gs and the plane will fly faster. Here we go. Don't know if that's going to be enough, but it'll at least make things more difficult. doing a reasonably good job staying out of our view here. Oh no, I don't know if that's flying or falling. Seems to still be flying from what I can see. Okay, we're gonna keep going with the guns here for a bit. We have one more missile, but I want to keep that in case we run into another aircraft somewhere. Okay, there we go. He's done. Any other enemy fighters? I'm still seeing some showing up on the radar, yeah, so... There's definitely a bit of aim assistance when it comes to the guns, and I kind of like that, because in combat flight sims, unless you're an expert and you play this kind of stuff all the time, it can be really difficult to land hits when you're using the guns. And I'm sure that is realistic, but for the purposes of a game, it's more fun the way they've done it here. Should I try to drop some bombs here while I'm lining up on them? So these are, yeah, this is the enemy. They've just scored some hits on us there. Let's have a look if this hits. Oh no, that is almost on target, but not quite. We'll switch back to... Oh no, I used all the missiles, so we'll stick to the bombs for now. And see if there... I'm not seeing any other air units showing up on the radar, so I think we can just keep going on the bombing runs. Which is what we'll do. I'm too close to these now. Let's go for those ones. I do actually want them to land some hits on me, just so that I can show you how the dynamic damage work. And I think those explosions, I'm not sure if that was them hitting the plane or if those were just explosions. By the way, I like that you can see where the units are and where stuff's going to land even through the cockpit. Maybe that's not particularly realistic, but again, you have to balance realism and fun, and this developer clearly knows what he's doing when it comes to that. These are sort of like cluster bombs, it seems. Some kind. That looks like it's gonna hit. Yeah, we scored some hits there. I think did some damage, took out 2 units. Let's have a look at the external view here. Doesn't look like we've taken any damage. I mean, I know I've said this a couple of times now, I really do like the look of the game, and I don't know if that's just because of nostalgia, which I'm sure is what they're going for, or if it's also just because I always value gameplay above graphics, and I'd much rather have a game that looks basic but has really good gameplay, as opposed to something that looks fantastic but, you know, may not feel that great to play. And this is good enough for me. I mentioned this while playing Carrier Command 2 as well, but I'm a big fan of poly art style. Can do some strafing runs here. It is a lot easier to do it in this game than it is in Carrier Command 2. At least when you're flying planes. We can try to take these guys out as well, and then maybe we'll just try and land this when we have to rearm. I think I'm doing about as much damage with the guns as I did with the bombs. That's probably just because I wasn't timing the bombs correctly, keeping in mind that these ground units are on the move as well. But you can see as we're moving around here, every unit that we're taking out, we're making things a little bit easier for our ground troops. Also, you'll see sort of the effects of the G-forces on the pilot as we're starting to slowly black out. And the reason why we're pulling so many Gs now is because we don't have any missiles or bombs on the wings anymore. Let's take out some of these units as well. I think this might be a little bit too far. Got about 131 rounds left here. Okay, that missed as well. There we go. So eventually our units will make its way into these zones and start capturing them. We'll do one more strafing run here. Actually, we're coming up on a really good angle. I just need to make sure that I sort of get within range at the right altitude. But we may be able to. They're running directly into our units now. We can provide some support here. Come on, there we go. It feels great. Like, I love the physics of this game. Just feels really nice to play with an Xbox controller. I'm sure it probably works okay with a stick as well, and I haven't tried that, I don't have one. I'm coming in way too fast for this landing, but we're gonna try this anyway. Move the nozzle down. I don't know. I think this is gonna be a crash. We'll see. That was a bit of a crash. We'll see what happens here. That's probably not particularly realistic. I'm pretty sure if you did that in real life, you'd be dead. But whatever, we managed to put it down. Let's see what it looks like from the outside. Oh yeah, so you can see the dynamic damage in action here. So we've lost a part of our right wing, and this will sort of handle accordingly now if we try to take off again. I wonder if we can we fix this now that we're on the ground? It says cycle weapon to rearm. So let's rearm and refuel and see if that's fixed the plane as well. No, okay, so it doesn't actually fix the plane. So you probably need to release another one or something. Let's just have a look here. If we say end sortie. Oh, so this ends the entire arena flight. Gives us some stats on what we're currently... So we're currently at a disadvantage, so we probably need to do a bit more. Oh, but we can still start a new one on the same playthrough. So if I say start, yes, we're still on the same arena battle. So I think that's the idea, that you can actually, I guess, kind of have multiple lives. And the metagame hasn't been implemented yet, but I'm sure at some point this will cost you some resources or something along those lines. I think it's worth it at the current price. If you want to wait a bit and see how this develops, I mean, that makes sense, or wishlist it. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the price, but it isn't particularly expensive for what it is. If you do like this, if you want to see more content on this one, let me know. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next video.